Okay, in this video, we are going to discuss about connecting Raspberry Pi to the computer in a headless configuration. So to do that, what are the steps that we need to do to achieve this goal? So the first thing is remember what is headless, right? What is a headless configuration? Headless configuration means that in your Raspberry Pi, you are not going to have any monitor or keyboard or mouse connected directly to it. So basically, it's just the power source that you're providing it, the power supply to the Raspberry Pi and nothing else. And how we can see the screens and things like that, how we can interact with the Raspberry Pi, we are going to use the computer's device instead. So we are going to use the keyboard from your laptop or desktop, and the mouse and the monitor, everything from your desktop, instead of having a completely set dedicated just for your Raspberry Pi. We are going to use your computer to do the same thing. All right. I think that is a wonderful thing because I normally sometimes I teach classes and I would like to bring the Raspberry Pi to show something from the Raspberry Pi, and I don't need to bring more than just the Raspberry Pi in my laptop. Instead of bringing like the monitor, a keyboard, and another mouse, everything separate would be a nightmare for me. So what are the steps to do that? Well, first of all, we need to connect Raspberry Pi to the local LAN, your Wi-Fi, at least for this moment. Later on, what I want to do is even avoid Wi-Fi, and we are going to see ways of avoiding Wi-Fi. And why do I do that? Is at home, that's fine. I have a Wi-Fi and everything works fine. But sometimes I'm on the road and again, I want to do some presentation using the Raspberry Pi. So I don't want to depend on someone else's Wi-Fi. I just want to connect my Raspberry Pi with my computer between them and not having to worry about connecting the Raspberry Pi to a Wi-Fi that I might not know the password. When you connect a device to Wi-Fi, of course, you're going to get an IP address. This IP address is going to be assigned by the router, and that's very important for us. We will need that IP address to finish up connecting the Raspberry Pi to the computer in this headless configuration. So just remember about that. So we will use this later on. Okay, so you connected the Raspberry Pi with your Wi-Fi, but again, you still don't have any kind of a clue what is the IP address. It has been assigned, but you don't know. So what we're going to do, we are going to download an application in our computer that will scan all the devices that are in your Wi-Fi at the moment, and from that, we can figure out what is the Raspberry Pi IP address that has been assigned by the router. So we are going to do that. So we're going to explain about this too. And then with that information, then what we can do, we can really connect the computer with the Raspberry Pi based on this IP address using what we call real VNC. That is just an application. You can get another kind of application, but this real VNC, what's going to happen is everything that is happening with the Raspberry Pi, you'll be shown in a screen, in a window in your computer. So it's like if you had a second separate monitor, but no, you have everything in your monitor from the computer. The mouse and the keyboard works with the Raspberry Pi, so everything is going to work smoothly here as soon as we connected the Raspberry Pi with the computer using a real VNC. So these are the steps. So let's go for it. So let's do a hands-on here. You can follow along if you want. Stop the video and do yourself when needed. The first thing we need to do is connecting Raspberry Pi to your local LAN. Here what we have is basically the Wi-Fi is already enabled in your Raspberry Pi. When it was enabled, Well, it was enabled when we were doing the Raspberry Pi imager. We are running that application. Remember where we format the micro SD card and install the Linux operating system in the micro SD card. There was an option. If you go back to one of my previous videos, you're going to see that there was an option here that is editing settings. So if you click there, what you're going to get a screen like that. And in the tab General, you would have something like that, Configure Wireless LAN. And we check it in. I don't know if you check this out. So we check it. And then you need to put, of course, your LAN Wi-Fi name and then the password that you use. So you have that. So it has been already installed. So even though we cannot see it now, when we power it up, it is already getting into the LAN, the Wi-Fi, and it is getting a IP address already for us. So this basically you don't need to do nothing. Just now we need to figure out what is the Raspberry Pi IP address that the router has given to you. One way of doing that is just using an application, and the application that I'm using here, there is a bunch of other applications you can use. This is one free of charge called Advanced IP Address. So I'm going to stop here for a second. Let's go to you can go to any like a browser and just Google it or internet search here. If you say advanced IP scanner download here, so if you type there and search, you're going to see that one of the options is right here, the www.advancedipscanner.com. So if you click here, you're going to download it for free. So just go ahead. You can pause this video if you need it. Just download that application, install it anywhere in your computer, and just run it. So that's what we're going to do now. Let me get here. Is this guy here? So that's what you get when you run this application. This application sometimes has more things here. I forgot what was here, but here you are saying that I want to scan from this range up to this range here. So it's from 1 to 254, but the prefix that is 192.168.1 is the same, just the last octant, it is going to be from 1 to 254. So that's what we're going to do. And you just click scan. And then you just need to wait a little bit. And eventually it's going to come up with a bunch of devices. I have my refrigerator, I have my watch, I have my phones, I have a lot of things that are connected to the LAN. So you're going to see all of them right here. And then eventually what you're going to do, let's see if I can find it. I don't see it yet, but eventually it will come right there. So you have right here, so I can pause or stop, doesn't really matter how you do it. But then you have here Raspberry Pi Foundation, and then you have here the IP address, 192.168.1.4. So this is, you can write down somewhere. And we are going to use this later. So that's very important that we have this information for later. So we were able to figure out the Raspberry Pi address. So let's go back here, slideshow. So that's what I did. And basically that's what I get here, the same thing there. And this is, again, I try to make small videos here. So this is the first part of multiple videos that we are going to be doing to connect your Raspberry Pi to your computer. The next one we are going to talk is the real VNC, not only the server, but the viewer that we need to install in your computer. And that's for the next video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please go ahead, use the message below to just drop something there, and everybody will benefit from there. For now, thank you very much, and that's it for now.